3d6 down the line.
Episode 44 in the books. We're all done. Hell yeah.
Did it.
Nice job, guys. Yes, hitting 7 rooms. That's
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 good.
I have another unhinged thought that occurred to me through all of this, which is truly unhinged. But the Arden Vader is perhaps magical. It could also be mechanical. And if it's mechanical, then the Statue of Arden's hollow. And it's entirely plausible that that is something that we could explore from some other egress, if that is true. I only thought about that because you started talking about the trapezoid. I just started thinking, like, this is very Zardoz. I don't know.
Well, you know for a fact that there might be a mechanical elements involved, but like the activation is 100% magical.
Oh yeah, you just said her name, right?
100%.
Yeah.
We just found more and more like sophisticated workings, and I'm just curious, you know. But
I honestly think, and I don't know if John will go along with this, but dude, I feel like we discovered some pretty big secrets on this, or at least unraveled some sort of mystery, or maybe we've just raveled it. I don't know.
I think we've found a mystery, but I don't know that we've unraveled anything. But
no, it's been really cool
to put together the clues about what's happened. I mean, we know the story very broadly, and now we're starting to see like the details of that. You know, actual legions fighting legions and killing their officers, and
yeah, it's cool. It's been fun watching you guys sort of like mull over like what the possible sequence of events have been. You are I'm not going to give any hints, but you're on the right. You're thinking along the right paths. You know, like you're working out the right things, basically, sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, to work out what all those relics are.
It's you, obviously, John, but also like the section feels like it's very well written. Like, more than any other part of the dungeon that I think we've been to, there seems to be like a kind of like tied in a bow mystery to unravel. Like, this is a very unique section of Arden. I don't know if I'm expressing myself.
I know what you mean.
Well.
There's like a story.
But everything else just seems like so esoteric, and we're like, whoa, I mean, it's mind melting, but this is like a flat out kind of like a murder mystery, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's a contained little story here. Yeah. You have a similar thing, kind of, although you don't really anticipate it being related, but the ice chambers has a sort of a similar vibe to it. But yeah, I was actually expecting most of the session to be up there, up back in the ice chambers. I thought you were going to look around the corner and be like, there's nothing really interesting. And okay.
Well, when Mort went out in the hallway, and I said, okay, hallway, dust, safe, we can leave this behind. I thought we were going back up the stairs.
You were ready to go.
Yeah. But this was
I didn't realize. I didn't realize 6 turns could last that long.
Yeah.
In my mind, when because we had talked on Discord about 6 turns, I was like, we'll just be in there real quick, in and out.
It's very arbitrary.
I guess it was arbitrary, but
you know what it was?
Now,
like, the last time you had. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
We don't go dungeon adventuring to not look down corridors.
Yeah, that's what they're for.
Very true. Yeah.
And like, now it's going to be that hard decision. How much, like, all these unopened doors right where we are down here, right? Do we want to keep looking, or do we retrain ourselves? Do we keep to our guns about what we decided to do and try to pull back upstairs, leaving these knots all untied?
I literally can't do that. Like, I can't do that. I find this area so engaging that before we go and get killed by Elsa, the Ice Princess, I want to figure out what's going on down here.
Here's the thing, though. We're gonna have to like take care to not demoralize the person back there all by herself, holding that door open. Right?
You can block the door.
Like we said, but we got to do that. We got to go back and get her, because we said, okay, Elizabeth, you just stay here. You just watch this door. We're going to be back in an hour.
Okay, you will need
if
to block
we aren't, right, then
it's easy enough though, Matt, to just go back and get her, I think, and we should, right?
I think there's value, and I think there's, I mean, whatever we decide to do, this is great. I think there's value in going back and getting her and potentially sleeping in the Pentarch's
We've only been awake for like 4 hours.
Well, it's 9 p.m. also.
5 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have to sleep. I just know sleep. We've expended several spell slots, and I thought that was an objective. But If we don't want to, that's fine.
You wanted to sleep to get a certain spell, though, right?
Levels and shit, I'm fine with that. Like resting is fine. The one thing, though, I do want to revisit is last time we had to basically rest twice in order for everyone to get their spell slots back. I just don't know if that's how that was meant to work out in the rules. Like, I got to look it up, but
rest twice. What do you mean?
We rested for 16 hours.
Spellcasters needed 8 uninterrupted hours.
Yeah,
and so, and that anyone who wanted to level up needed 8 uninterrupted hours. Is that right?
Yeah.
And by uninterrupted, you meant solid 8 hours. You don't wake up.
No standing watch.
So you set it up so we had a 16-hour rest. So half the party slept 16 hours while half the party was awake.
Yeah.
Or 8 hours and 8 hours. And if we're not.
At which point you'd be fatigued,
it
kind of. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Is that just only for leveling up, though? Or is that because the other milestone that you want to do is just to get rid of exhaustion, right? Can you still take like 8 uninterrupted hours you have to have for the spell slots? But to get rid of exhaustion, can you break it up? Can you sleep for 4, take a watch?
Yeah, you could. Yeah. I was probably a little bit too harsh on it. I think it's just generally like I think it's deliberately vague in BX rules, like because it's not something that needs to be firmly ruled. I was probably too harsh on it. So let's just make it so we know an 8-hour rest when we know it, right? Like you can take watches, you can do basic stuff, you can talk to each other and plan and all that kind of stuff. In addition, you can take the time to learn your spells and gain up in level. But it's an interrupted sleep when you have one, right? I mean, there's going to be no doubt.
If a combat happens, the rest is ruined.
Yeah, or if you literally decide to get up out of bed and do something, then it's interrupted, right? It's like it's done.
So if we said like a 10-hour stretch, so somebody gets 8 hours of sleep and we've got time for meals and potty breaks and stuff, or something like that would make more sense than.
Yeah, it was just called 8. 8 makes it easy. It's always been 8. Yeah. So you're right.
Honestly, I think all the.
We have 3, 1, 2, 3. I think 4 people that don't need to sleep for spells, and 4 people over an 8-hour shift is like everyone takes a 2-hour watch, and then we're fine.
Yeah,
and the spellcasters can lounge around and eat their cookies, and basically,
it's just more about. Sorry, go ahead, David.
Well, I think it's an abstraction, right? Like the idea that 8 hours is conveying to like a modern audience is like you need to sleep to reset your day. Right. And the particulars of that are kind of, I think, embedded, like the cooking and the things that one would do not on the job and exhausted are sort of implied, I think, in that abstraction, even though technically they'd be longer than 8 hours, right? Like I think the idea is that you have to set that time aside. And that works well with the world clock, presumably, because then the way we are counting time is predicated upon that.
Yeah, it just makes it easier. Well. I think 8 hours is it's an abstraction, and it allows. But the only thing that can be done during that 8 hours is like downtime sort of shit, right? There can't be anything like proactive, really. You can plan.
No, you're off the clock.
You're off the clock, exactly. Yeah. So
that seems reasonable.
I think that's fine. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of been the way it's been through all editions of D&D, pretty much. You know what I mean?
I think that's probably the intent.
Yeah. So I was a little too harsh last time.
We're just on this weird clock because we had to do it for like 16 hours, and so we basically started adventuring again at like 4 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yes. Yeah. Which was that was my bad, but suck it and deal with it.
Yeah.
My favorite.
My point to David just being that like,
good, buddy. Good.
We just woke up. I'm not ready to sit for 8 hours again.
Totally fine. The reason John was going to ask earlier, I think we got lost there. The reason we were discussing sleeping to begin with was to memorize spells to melt ice and stuff like that. So if we are certain, we can continue to discuss throughout the week. But if we are certain we want to explore down here rather than going back up, and we don't feel any time pressure on that anymore, then we can defer resting, I think, pretty safely. I would just, the caution I would have is probably what we should do, which is something Matt mentioned as well last session, is let's go meet up with her and then go check the top door. You know what I mean? Like,
make sure
first
we
thing
can
we
get
should
out.
do, like, hey, we're back. Let's check the top door and then go from there, right? Like,
because the bottom one, remember, the bottom one is one way, so the top one could also be one way.
Yeah, that's.
I kind of feel like I want
from the inside.
We just got to check.
We already opened the top one.
Yeah, but
like we found
the one that was iced over, Ted. The one that was iced over.
That's the one that
at the very top of the stairs, the first staircase. There was that iced over door. We never opened it.
Wait, that's I'm talking about something else. Oh no. I'm talking about checking. No. I'm talking about checking the top of the stairwell, the secret door that closed behind us. Make sure we're not already closed in regardless. That was the confusion I had on the bottom doors. If the bottom door is one way, then the top door could be one way. If the bottom's two way, then the top door is probably two way. But
on the flip side, like they almost always enter. You can use them from the secret area to the public area, just not necessarily from the public area to the secret area. It would make no sense to have a secret door that you couldn't open from the secret hallway.
I think that's very wise. I think it probably does open at the top. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we can go out of it, and we went through the secret side.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've already opened it once, so I'm not worried about that door at all.
I think what the worry stems from, Ted, is that I described like there was a
big heavy clunk. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I picked up on that right away.
Also, I am curious. I am curious. Just this room is very compelling. This is not an opinion I'm proffering. Do we find it more interesting than regalia? Because that's very interesting to me.
No,
Mike, you're less interested in the regalia now because we saw these other artifacts, which are implicitly much worse than the regalia, right? Unless they are the regalia. I'm curious.
One point about the shit that we're finding on this floor. We found at least 2, potentially 3 magical weapons on this floor, which is probably more than we have found in any other location, right?
Not the Hall of Heroes.
Right, not the Hall of Heroes. But this feels like a target-rich environment. And there are a lot of little doors that we just bypass that might have some really phenomenal clues in there.
I'm super down.
There's a whole room with bunks ready for us to sleep in when we're done walking around.
Mm-hmm.
We lock the door, bunk it up. There's brandy. It's great.
Everyone knows that a 1,000-year-old mattress, much like your grandmother's house, is the most comfortable sleep you'll ever have.
That's so true. It's broken in. Yeah. The other thing to keep in mind too is
the 1,000-year-old hot tub.
Yeah. One thing though, I'll go, John, you first.
Just clearing up like the egress thing. Like you're rightfully concerned about being able to get the fuck out of here if you need to, and just because you haven't found it yet doesn't mean that there isn't an exit out of here that's probably relatively normal, right? Like there were normal Arcantian legionnaires down here. It's like they obviously weren't just entering from like that weird secret entrance that you came in directly into the Pentarch's chambers, right? So
that would be weird.
Yeah,
this could be a misdirection from John. There is a cave. There is a caved-in stairwell I just found in the direction that I smelled humidity. Which is the only reason I would my goal here was
you smelled the pool, dude.
That's true. It could be the pool. That could be a misdirection as well. But I don't think that's what John was trying to say. For what it's worth is my goal wasn't to find stuff. It was to find an exit for us as quickly as possible. Right. I've dead-ended on that goal. There is a double door. There may be other possible exits, which I think are worth, like we're saying, doing. The one caution I'd throw out there, which could be just paranoia, is we see evidence of minimally 25 legionnaires who haven't touched a single fucking artifact in here. And if you have any worry about the sanctity of the space relating to our survivability, going loot crazy before we've done anything in the Elsa room or gotten any more information might spell our doom. That may be way too cautious of me, but Onweir probably wouldn't want to touch any of those items until I know more. Right?
I think that's great. That's super smart. Yeah, absolutely. But I just think that there is a mystery here that we can potentially unravel.
100%. Yeah.
And successfully. Wouldn't it be nice to have one mystery unraveled under our belt?
That's not going to happen.
Have you met us, Mike? Have you met us?
I really want to check out the double doors. I really want to go see what the cave-in is. I want to go dwarf the cave-in and see, is there a way to get through it?
Yep.
And if not, well, then okay, fair enough. Then this is its own unique area. It's walled off from everything else. let's go back up the secret door and go, tangle with Elsa. So
I agree. No, I'm not disagreeing with it. I was just curious about your interests. I really do not have a preference. I was just intrigued.
Me personally, I just love the little storyline going on here.
Yeah, I love it.
Me too.
Well, I do want to throw this out there, right? Long-term goals. What are we still trying to accomplish? What are we still trying to do? If our goal is to get the regalia and get out of here quickly so that our giant treasure hoard is safe and secure way up on the surface, that Garalad doesn't have like all kinds of like mercenaries and stuff hunting for us at every turn. That timeline is still ticking, even though we're like.
I'm looking at my calendar right here.
Right.
Let me raise my mic. Music to my ears. Music to my ears to hear you say that. No, of course.
Hey, it's never. It's never been something that we're not aware of, right?
We're not saying anything's not fun. No, this is
you
great.
have to spoil it, Matt. Come on, I was having fun.
No, definitely you need to worry about.
I'm honestly fine, man. Just letting Garalad be Garalad for a little while. You go Garalad up.
We also tend to like. I get the same thing too. It's like we spent so much time down here, and you're like, oh, we're going to invest in this lab. Like you've spent like an hour down here, right? You know what I mean?
6 turns.
Yeah, definitely keep in mind like the actual in-game time that has actually elapsed since you sort of, since Delve 3 started, basically, right? Like where you teleported out of here. It has not been that long amount of time.
Yeah, it's not
and
even
here's what I would add to that as like a macro structure thing that I find really interesting. You notice that's the sort of the aperture of how time flows, by virtue of it being a dungeon, is much slower when you're actually in a dungeon and much longer when you're doing overland stuff. Yeah. So the way that time feels like it's slipping away from us is usually because we're doing shit like between the action.
Right. In town.
And like even like within this session, so little time's gone by and we've accomplished so much that it's a great indication of like how just being in the adventure is really productive on like multiple levels, right?
Yeah, big time. Like the biggest spans of time have been getting your magic items identified, reading the books, all that sort of stuff. Took like that was most of that last month. It's all like
literally just got to our first month of adventuring.
Yeah, and all like the actual adventuring was like really tightly condensed into like a couple of days, right? You know what I mean? Like scattered amongst the month, but it was like hardcore delving was actually like took place like in like a span of a couple of days. Yeah.
I will also say, like, just as a general like remark on all of this, what's really cool. I don't know. I'm gonna curse us by saying this, but it's pretty.
Oh, don't do it! Don't do it then.
Oh, no, don't.
Say it. Say it.
Save it. Save it.
Going from. No, I'm saying it. Going from like our Plunger Town expedition, which was reactive in a good way. It was fun. We got in prison. All these things happen where we feel like we have no power. We're like kind of doing what we can. Even like down to like me stabbing Isocrites is like, this seems like a survival move. I'm going to do this now. Going from possessing written history to entering into a place that you're living the history diegetically is such a fascinating shift in like the whole setting design and the way that we're playing it. Like look at the excitement that Mike you're feeling at like doing it here versus getting it as an object, even though the object was essentially the key to this, right? Like that was the golden ticket that even allowed this to happen in many ways, and perhaps a lot quicker than I know. I feel like we weren't supposed to be here for a very long time. Is the sense I get from all of this, which is awesome, right? Like it's so cool. So yeah, the enthusiasm you have about it.
To John's point, the other side of this cave-in might literally be behind a bush on like
I know
any random area,
because it's chiquade as shit. Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Just
we're gonna come out of Arden's mouth. I swear to God, it's gonna. We're just gonna sort of emerge.
Great.
Yeah, that's
out of curiosity, guys. Has any of your significant others ever asked you how often you think about the Roman Empire?
Yeah, that's a thing now, right? That's a meme. It did make me think. It's like I'm thinking about it a lot.
It's a meme. That's funny.
Apparently, what we really need to be thinking about is the Byzantine Empire, because that apparently is like.
Yes, I
There's
do.
There's a great
the
podcast everyone should listen to called Byzantium and Friends. Great podcast. Check it out. Also, The History of Rome, on a very old podcast, but also very good.
Nice.
That one I listened to. That was a good.
History of Rome is very worth. All of these are very fun. It doesn't matter. If you want some other content to consume while enjoying Arden Vool with the best podcast,
and it will infuse your knowledge of
it'll infuse your knowledge. Yeah.
The other we'll leave it here, but I just wanted to drop this for you guys to think about as well. Like you're super into the mystery, which is really, really cool, and you're working it out well. The other piece of this puzzle and this mystery is the presence of Arden. Like there's some sort of weird dedication to Arden herself here, right? That is unique, like you haven't experienced before. Like I mean, obviously she's exalted, but she's exalted across the Arcantian Empire, and of course she has special place here in Arden Vool because she founded the place and all that kind of stuff. But what is it about this area that is like? Why is it so like there's shrines to her everywhere? There's like pictures of her everywhere. The labors are depicted everywhere. Yeah,
is Arden maybe like an analogous for like Mithras, right? Because like Mithras was being that kind of like warrior cult in like Roman Empire times, right?
This whole underground thing is full of cults.
Yeah,
the cult of Set, the cult of Thought, a cult of Arden, and what was his name, Tricotor. It's like completely. This is like a religious center.
This is the Waffen SS bunker, guys.
I wasn't going to go there, but.
Who do you think was in that bed?
You're right, Mike. I think the comparison to Mithras is a good one.
Yeah,
that's a really good one.
I agree, Mike. It's a very fun, it's very fun linking some of these influences, knowing that he's still riffing on them too in his own way. But it really injects a lot of richness.
It just seems like this area though has there's where Thoth was depicted on so many paintings and sculptures and all kind of stuff that has been almost wholly replaced by Arden in this specific area.
This is kind of why. Yeah, go ahead.
It does fall in line with that Roman desire to sort of deify noteworthy people. You know what I mean? Like they actually become gods or demigods if they, like the emperor himself was a god, right? Or the Egyptians did the same thing, right?
Yeah. There's a theme there, right?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, how fun is it going to be if we actually like go through and try to recreate those the trials of Arden, all right? The labors of Arden.
The labors of Arden. Yeah.
I mean, you've already taken the bath. I mean, we could all join you.
What I need to do is actually, because you have the book, I can actually give you I'll give you like a handout like that actually details the labors, so you're aware of it. They're obviously analogous to like the labors of Hercules, but yeah,
sure.
I mean, again, this is something we speculated on off camera a bit about, but there's a lot of tinfoil we could do about what this source of this divinity is, and then this like rite of ascension. But the alien spaceship and the presence of concepts of like regalia. Is it time?
Well, I am fading fast, but I also wanted to point out this was a dice-free episode, guys.
That's true. No dice for roll.
We tried to roll for listen checks, but John wouldn't let us.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's good stuff though.
Y'all notice my hat?
Nice.
Good hat.
Yeah,
that's a nice hat.
You can pick that up on the YouTube channel, everybody.
Yeah, dude, and it's like way better. Like I was comparing it to the last one I got. Make sure there's no spiders in here. The last one we got, dude, this is like my grandpa's hat. You used to wear this kind of hat, but now this one is like,
looks good too.
yeah. The new one's more of a dad hat for sure.
It is a dad hat. Yeah,
it's in a good way. Yeah, I like it.
All right, we'll call it a night. I gotta get to editing.